behalf of the government of Malaysia, we apologize that our Honored Speaker William Budong is unable to come today because he was unceremoniously deported from our country and made Malaysia famous all over the world. Okay, this is unprecedented in terms of diplomacy, in terms of human rights, in terms of what Malays call sopan santun. It is completely kurang ajar action by the government. Which we are very sorry about. We apologize to Monsieur William Budong on behalf of all the people of Malaysia. This series of dinners and forums like today in Ipoh has come about because we need to have a legal fund to fight our cause in France. Why are we doing that? I think Siva will tell us more about the legal case in Malaysia. The reason why we have reached a blank wall in this country is partly because of the judicial system in this country, which you all know was on a downslide after the assault on the judiciary in 1988 during Operation Mala. The two bodyguards, former bodyguards of the present Prime Minister, and the person who was initially charged with abetment of murder, Razak Baginda. We know that the two bodyguards they have been sentenced, and I hear that they are appealing. But Razak Baginda is having a good time in Oxford, pursuing a PhD. Okay. We are forced, therefore, to pursue the case in France because the French judicial system is slightly different from the British or the Malaysian case and allows us, seorang, to be an interested party to pursue the case in France. They have an inquisitorial system in which a judge can have investigative powers to pursue this investigation. And seorang all this time, ever since Operation Lalang, has been most active, I suppose the most active of any organization in this country, to help victims of detention without trial, victims of abuse of powers by the police and the government. Through the years, apart from civil liberties, we have been active in issues concerning the environment, the indigenous people, such as the Bakun Dam issue, such as the Pergau Dam issue. But we have also been most interested in questions of accountability. Last year, we published a book called Questioning Arms Spending in Malaysia. I'm very sorry we overlooked the fact that we don't have the books here in Ipoh. Otherwise, we would have brought it today. Today, I would like to talk in greater detail why we are concerned about arms spending in Malaysia. We are, of course, very much concerned about justice. Justice for the family of Altan Tuya, a young Mongolian girl caught up in the wrong company, paid for her life, and we seek justice for her gruesome murder. And we want accountability for alleged 500 million ringgit commissions paid to Malaysian officials. And this is all this case in France is all about. As long as it can be proven that commissions were paid to officials in Malaysia, it is time for the then Minister of Defence and the present Prime Minister to resign forthwith. Now this question of resignation, again, doesn't seem to be a Malaysian character. We always say that we're very proud of our Oriental values, and the Westerners somehow do not have as good values as Orientals. I've just come from Britain, where it is raging. The phone hacking scandal is raging in Britain today. It started very small. Today it is blowing bigger and bigger, and it is blowing right at the feet of the Prime Minister David Cameron. But at the slightest whiff of corruption by the top policeman, Mr. Stevenson, he resigned immediately. The following day, his second in command also resigned. And so far, 10 people have been arrested, including the former political secretary to the present Prime Minister. So this is what it's all about. The moment it can be proven that commissions were indeed given out to any Malaysian official, we demand that the minister involved and the present Prime Minister resigns forthwith. Even yesterday we found out that the Royal Commission of Inquiry on the Teo Peng Huat case, it was proven by the Royal Commission that inappropriate means were used to torture and to harass Teo Peng Huat. One would think that the chief of MACC, the chief of police, would resign forthwith. But today, have they resigned? Through the years, during Operation Lalang, there have been cases of torture. In Operation Lalang, it was Joshua Jamaluddin, amongst others. And then there was Malak Hussein, who won his case against the government for and won 2.5 million. And there was Saudara Anwar Ibrahim's political secretary, speechwriter, Dr. Munawar Anis. All these documented cases of torture. You would expect the IGP at that time to resign forthwith. Up to today, they have not. And that is why we say that all the reports by the Royal Commission of Inquiry on Teo Peng Huat and other reports are sham, because the people involved, the police, the enforcement officers, the chief of police, the Home Minister, the Prime Minister, they know about these torture allegations, and they have not. They have been getting away with impunity all these years because we have not ratified the Convention Against Torture. They are scared that if they ratify the Convention Against Torture, they will have to bear the responsibility for all these allegations. And so, today, we're talking about resignations. That is a very important condition, that if such a case is proven in France, we hope that there will be resignations. That is why today, seeking out this legal fund is so important to us, because I think in Malaysia we all know that this is perhaps the only opportunity we'll get to get to the bottom of the murder of Altan Tuya, to get to the bottom of the commissions, and to maybe force a resignation of the present Prime Minister. The present Prime Minister was, of course, the Defence Minister for many years. I think since 98, if I'm not mistaken. And This scandal is not the only scandal he has been involved with. I published this book on questioning arms spending in Malaysia mainly because I've been very passionate about peace rather than war. Ever since my student days, when I was facing the Vietnam War at the end of the 60s and the beginning of the 70s. And you find that in every arms purchase, and let me remind you that this present arms procurement is the most expensive of all time. 2 submarines costing more than 7 billion ringgit. And this government, as you know, is famous for getting involved with big contracts, mega monuments like the Bakun Dam, like the Perak Dam, like buying 7 billion worth of submarines, like buying 5 billion worth of arms deals in the 90s, like buying 6 offshore patrol vehicles for 6 billion ringgit, like allocating 23 billion ringgit for the 10th Malaysia plan. 23 billion ringgit. Can you imagine that? It costs something like 1 million to build a school. There are 500 or so Tamil primary schools in this country, 1,280 Chinese primary schools, and 8,000 or so national schools in this country, a total of something like 10,000 primary schools. So 23 billion ringgit under the 10th Malaysia plan to buy arms is equivalent to building 23,000 schools. This is just a 10th Malaysia plan. And if you move back to the first Malaysia plan, you'll be astonished how much a proportion of the Malaysia plans have been allocated to arms and how big a proportion has been allocated to health, to education, to social services. So today, Soram is very concerned that we are not so much concerned about commissions and corruption, we're also concerned once and for all that Malaysians will pay attention to how our money is spent and how our money is spent on arms and how our money should be diverted to more productive investments, to more social investments, to more hospitals and not hornets, fighter jets, to schools and not submarines,